have a confession to make. I've been neglecting this podcast for a few weeks and I apologize, but let me give you an explanation. When I first started this podcast, I was strictly doing LinkedIn content writing for founders and senior leaders. But in the last year, my business has shifted quite a bit and I've been expanding the work that I do to support clients. I've been helping coaches primarily with their social media content beyond LinkedIn. So I've been spending a lot of time helping my clients grow their Instagram accounts, their email lists, and lately I've started supporting therapists with SEO optimized blog content so that their business can surface in Google searches and they don't have to rely so heavily on social media to promote their services. And so the reason why I've been procrastinating recording my next podcast episode is because I feel like the podcast is no longer aligned with where my business is going. The podcast name is LinkedIn for Entrepreneurs, as you know, but I'm speaking about LinkedIn less and less. And so I really need to rebrand this podcast, give it a new name and a new focus. But until I can come up with a new name, here's what I'm going to be talking about moving forward. I'm going to cover marketing on a broader scale besides LinkedIn, and I'm still going to focus on small business owners, entrepreneurs who are working solo with a very lean team, because that's who I support and that's what I have the most experience with. And we are going to be talking about email marketing. We're going to be talking about Instagram. We're going to be talking about SEO and Google Search Console, which that's where I'm going to start with today because there's been an exciting update on Instagram and Google Search Console, and I'll tell you all about it. So I hope you stick with me through this rebrand, and I'd love to hear your thoughts regarding what you'd like to hear from me. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen the latest reels that I posted, which are all about the new Instagram and Google search update. So let me fill you in. Google has announced that now Google Search Console will show search terms that bring people to your social media content. This is huge. Google Search Console is a free tool that shows you your website's analytics. So how are people ending up on your website? What search terms are leading them to find your content? But now they're expanding so that you can see what searches are bringing them to your social media content, not just Instagram, LinkedIn, also LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, everything, so that you can now optimize your social media content for search. And the reason why this is huge is because now we will have real data with which to evaluate our content. I'm excited about this because it means less relying on trends and more relying on real content that provides value to your audience, instead of trying to guess at what people want based on just our Instagram analytics. Now we have more comprehensive analytics. We can see what's driving people to our websites and what's bringing people to our different social media channels so that we can create a cohesive messaging across all our platforms rather than individually trying to figure out what each platform's analytics is telling us. So as this feature rolls out, I will be sharing more. Right now, as of this week, I haven't seen that feature available on the Google Search Console accounts that I have access to, so mine and my clients. But as things change, I will keep you posted. It's a very exciting update. And at the same time, on Instagram, a new search feature has shown up. I've noticed it recently when I was scrolling my client's feed from inside her account. So as I was looking at her recent reels, I saw a little magnifying glass pop up at the bottom of the reel with a search term next to it that was clickable. And then when I clicked that search term, it brought me to content around that same keyword, and it gave me more keyword suggestions as to what I could use to create more content. And so if you want to understand how this works, I have now posted 2 reels on this topic. So if you look for me on social media, you will find those micro tutorials. This is exciting because if, for example, if you don't want to use Google Search Console, if you've got no idea how it works, you can now rely on Instagram to suggest keywords that you can use in your content. Now, this feature is also new. It doesn't show up in all accounts. I don't have it on my personal account, and so we're going to have to wait for it to show up. But what it's telling us is that we now have to optimize our content for search. We already knew that, but now there's really no way around it, and it actually just works in our favor. So what does it mean to optimize your content for search? It means that, for example, on Instagram, if you create a reel or a carousel post, for example, the text that people see on the screen, on the graphic, on the video, that is super important text. It can't be random. It has to contain keywords that signal to your audience what this content is about and who it's for. And then the caption reinforces that. This allows the algorithm to read and categorize your content so that they can show it to the right people. So when you write like a POV 7-second reel, for example, that POV has to be specific to your audience. I wrote a POV post for a client that did pretty well recently, and it was specific, meaning you live in, Montclair, New Jersey, and you prefer to go to a sound healing rather than a bar on a random Tuesday night. You're going to love it here. Something like that. I can't remember the specific words, but it did include the exact location. It did include the type of event it was going to be. The video on the reel showed like behind the scenes of a sound healing session, and it got a lot of traction and a lot of interest. And looking back, it's because we included the location, the type of person this is for, and the video itself showed footage of what a sound healing session looks like. For a different client, I used the keyword research that I conducted for her in her Instagram content, and also that did well on a 7-second reel. And again, it's because the copy on the screen and in the caption was specific to her audience, their pain points, and their desires. And so this is something that is absolutely necessary going forward so that your content can show up in searches and provide an answer to a question people have, or a doubt or an uncertainty that they're trying to navigate or figure out, or a desire they're trying to attain. And so if you want to start to optimize your content so it can show up both within like Instagram searches, but also on the broader scale of Google Search Console, the rules are the same. You need to pay attention to the copy on the screen or the copy on the graphic. So the visual part needs to have a really catchy hook. And that hook is probably the most important piece of your content because it determines whether or not people consume it, and it should include the keywords that your audience is searching for or interested in. And then the copy and the caption needs to reflect that as well so that Google or any search platform can read and understand and categorize your content. And this is actually a reason why copywriting is now more important than ever, because not only does content have to appeal to search engines, it also has to appeal to real humans. Like, you can't write like a robot or try and keyword stuff your content. It's not going to resonate with people. Also, algorithms can now recognize keyword stuffing. So you have to be articulate and well-versed enough on social media where you can write a hook and a caption that people will be attracted by, but that will also inform the algorithms. If you would like help in optimizing your social media content, this is something we can go over in a one-on-one power hour, which is a 60-minute consultation. Or if you would like more in-depth coaching, I offer ongoing content coaching as well as done-for-you copywriting services. So definitely reach out if any of those are things you'd like support with. So thanks so much for listening, and I hope you will stick with me through this podcast transition and see how this evolves moving forward. And stay with me over the next few episodes because I have some very interesting conversations coming up. My next podcast is with Brandy, who is a coach that I've met on LinkedIn, and she has some great visibility and network strategies that I can't wait for you to learn more about. We will be talking about her no challenge that she roped me into and that I really enjoyed and that I hope you will try too. So keep an eye out for that podcast, which is going to be going live next week, and I will talk to you soon.